Tongo etana butu einda.
Amy Beale was the second of my 4 children, and she was, from the time very little kid, a very goal-oriented, smart, sort of a rascally kid. She wanted to do things and be successful at doing them. She ran for president of her first grade class. She really knew herself and what she wanted from herself from a very early age. She got very interested in South Africa and its problems, its apartheid issues, and Amy started at Stanford and majored in African studies, and she got very interested in women's rights in these emerging democracies. So she applied for a Fulbright grant, which is a U.S. State Department grant, and received it, and it was basically on women's role in the transformation here in South Africa. When Amy was here as a Fulbright scholar, she had opportunities to meet, people that were later in the government, part of the government, and yet she loved the grassroots people. She was intellectually and academically driven, a great believer in the best education possible, but she also had a very love of life side to her.
She was killed by the very people whose cause she was fighting for.
I think that's exactly right. And so I think sort of rushing through her pain, there must have been this element of disbelief.
Her parents, Linda and Peter Beale, decided they had to try and understand their daughter's commitment to the people she had given her life for. With South Africa on the brink of a race war, Amy's death was a turning point. Horrified at the murder of a friend, blacks joined with whites in peace rallies across the country. The Beales decided they had to go to South Africa. Looking for answers, Linda and Peter went into the squatter camps of Gugulethu, the black township where Amy's killers had grown up. This is where you came to begin to understand.
You're trying to know whether to hate them or... I just felt this void, I really didn't know what I felt about them. And so when I was able to come out into their environment, then I knew, okay, there was some logic to it. I can understand how if you were a youth living in these conditions, you could be stirred up and you could become violent. I think I can understand that.
Not only do they understand, they spend much of their time right here in Gugulethu, passing the very spot where their daughter was killed. You ride by that spot all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
I think she'd like it. I think she'd be glad to know that we have the inner capacity to do that, the inner strength to do that.
If we had never come back here, if we hadn't done something to carry on for her, I think she would be very, very disappointed in us.
After the 4 young men who killed Amy were convicted and sentenced to 18 years in prison, they applied for amnesty to Archbishop Tutu's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The Beales, who attended the hearing, could have objected, but they didn't.
If you accept and support the process, as Amy did and as we do, then you must accept the results. You can't say I support the process, but oh my God, don't think about giving these guys amnesty for our daughter's case. Come on. You can't do that.
The killers were pardoned and released from prison after serving only 4 years.
We absolutely accept the outcome. No questions asked.
I'm compelled to ask because I don't understand. I know I would be angry. Do you have to fight off anger? Or it just isn't there?
No.
No, it's a void. And then I think it's important then to fill that void with understanding.
Archbishop Tutu says the Beales have what South Africans call Ubuntu,
I say, Unobuntu. That person has the essence of humanity. Ubuntu speaks of generosity, of warmth, of hospitality, of compassion, of caring.
The Beals know that with their resources, they can only hope to chip away at the problems facing South Africa. But that's okay, they say. They have to try. They're just following in the footsteps of their daughter.
I feel connected with Amy every time the wheels touch down at the airport here. And I disconnect, in a sense, every time we lift off. And so when I'm walking around here right now and the breeze is blowing, yeah, I definitely feel her here.
When we first met the Beals, we also met 3 of Amy's 4 killers. They say, and the Beals agree, that the murder was a politically driven act. Several months after that interview, Easy Nofamela and Tobacco Penne tried to make contact with the Beals. They wanted to meet, something Linda and Peter had once said they wouldn't do. But Peter got a call from an intermediary saying the 2 young men were trying to transform their lives by starting a youth club.
She said they would very much like to meet you and Linda and to tell you what they're doing with their youth organization. And she said, would you be willing to meet with them? And I said, absolutely. When can we do it?
You said it that quickly?
Yeah. The fact that that they wanted to talk to us and sort of made that happen through an intermediary, that was very pleasing. And so it didn't take any time at all to agree to meet with them.
If you spent some time with them, I think you'd really be surprised.
The surprise, of course, is the Beals, who not only continued to meet and talk with the 2 young men, but have decided to help and support them.
They're making block and they're welding. They're doing a terrific job, and they're there every day like clockwork, on time, and it's marvelous.
With full support from the Beals, 2 of Amy's killers are now learning a trade in the very programs the Beals set up.
I've always said that one of the great regrets I had in this whole thing is that Linda and I were halfway across the world. We couldn't hold Amy in her last moments and comfort her. And yet these guys saw her then. And that thought does occur to me.
Yet Peter and Linda have forged an unlikely, if not amazing, bond with the 2 men.
I actually do have sort of a maternal instinct, to be honest with you. They've called me their mother, and they call Peter their father.
But you're giving me chills, because, I mean, for me anyway, I can't forget that these boys murdered Amy.
Did they really murder her? No. No. It was apartheid.
I think Amy would be very proud of what she achieved in her short life. Also, at the same time, she would be wanting to achieve a lot more. And so her best chance and her dreams can really be fulfilled through these 2 guys, in large part. If they make it, they are clear evidence to the new South Africa that 2 people can pull themselves up from the very worst of possible situations and make something constructive and contributory of themselves. I think that's her dream, and I think that she's living that dream today through these 2 guys.
Up to 80,000 people a year migrate to the Western Cape from other provinces and the rest of Africa, creating enormous pressure on the province's already thin resources and infrastructure. Every day, there are thousands of unsupervised children in the impoverished townships of Cape Town, which leads to rampant crime, drug abuse, violence, and unsafe sex. Those living in the townships still receive poor or limited education, have little opportunity to be creative, and are largely left to their own devices during the afternoons, Saturdays, and school holidays. It is against this background that in 1997, Peter and Linda Beal established the Amy Beal Foundation in South Africa, initiating social, cultural, and economic empowerment programs to disadvantaged Cape Town communities. After the untimely death of Peter Beale in 2002, Linda Beale continued with the foundation with the help of the Cape Town community. Today, as a South African organisation, the Amy Beale Foundation has grown and flourished, and Linda still visits South Africa every year. The Amy Beale Foundation is a non-profit organisation with youth education, development and empowerment programs aimed at underprivileged youths aged 5 to 18 living in townships in and around Cape Town. We serve over 1,800 children per week with interactive, educational and cultural programs which involve them in positive and productive activities. The programs place the youth in a safe environment away from the violence and drugs that plague the township areas, whilst providing positive role models and alternatives to the negative influences. They are taught life skills and how to lead focused, healthy lifestyles, including poverty alleviation and the prevention of HIV/AIDS. Children who come through our programs are better equipped to handle the challenges of the townships and life in general. Our aim is to provide them with opportunities to become future leaders, entrepreneurs, and emotionally well-rounded citizens who are able to bring income to their families and communities.
The last 4 years or so, we've really built up an organisation that works with others. We are always very conscious that if we can build more partnerships and more people can work with us, we'll be able to make more of an effective impact on the work that we do.
The Amy Beale Foundation has been around for a good number of years, and we've earned our credibility, and we're always accountable. It's transparent, and I think they can go and visit our programs and see the difference that their funding is doing. There's tangible evidence.
The Amy Beale Foundation has a core staff of 12 coordinators, 68 contract facilitators and teachers. In addition to our staff, we have an average of up to 10 volunteers from all over the world at any one time.
A lot of the children have access to education, but not quality education. And I think that is very important, because what we try and do is to offer alternatives to children because of the environment that they live in. And because a lot of the children's parents cannot afford to send them to schools where they can get better education, they are kind of left in a situation where they struggle, they come home, they're not focused enough because they don't get from early childhood the intervention to actually guide them and properly rear them to become more sufficient and self-sustainable youth.
If I put myself in the shoes of a child and I watch them enjoying themselves with us, number one, I think it's attention. You can actually observe that this child actually chose to be next to us. Sometimes you are able to identify a child who's got a very high energy, but this time around you see a child on this particular day with a low energy and you realize something is not right. So you just keep that child next to you and you walk around, you give them different responsibilities. Or they don't want to join another class for that day, but you sort of attend to them and ask and engage them, and we use the peer education facilitators and even students to get to know what's happening within that child's life.
The Youth Reading Role Model program reaches hundreds of students each week. This year-long program runs during the school day in 22 primary schools and consists of grade 7 students getting the opportunity to read aloud to grade 1 students. Grade 7 students improve their reading, comprehension and public speaking skills, while grade 1 students benefit from exposure to positive role models and educational support.
To bring the culture of reading to our schools, especially to the disadvantaged schools in the community, of which the teachers, the principal, everybody is supporting the program very well.
When considering that South Africa is in the midst of an AIDS and drug addiction epidemic, the country's youth needs to be educated and warned about it. During school hours, in life orientation lessons, children in the townships are educated about life skills, the dangers and causes of HIV/AIDS and substance abuse through peer education. To date, hundreds of students have been trained as peer educators, and they have gone on to teach, counsel, and advise countless other primary school students. They serve as positive role models who stress abstinence and the importance of living a substance-free lifestyle.
Our youth doesn't fear anything. They know about these challenges, but they're still doing them. If you sleep with a boy or with a girl, there might be a pregnancy or an STI happening there, but they're still doing it.
But who eats a frog? Fish. And then who eats a fish? Us. I think somewhere we do eat what? A frog.
The Greening, Environment and Poverty Alleviation program works to teach children the importance of health and nutrition, respect for the environment, growing vegetable gardens, poverty alleviation, and much more.
The water that we have made it dirty, and we're trying to try to make it more cleaner.
Environmental clubs for the youth are an important part of the program. Additionally, we aim to improve the external landscape of participating schools by planting trees, flowers, and vegetable gardens. The foundation currently runs 5 after-school centres at various schools in Nyanga, Crossroads and Gugulethu, each hosting up to 300 students per day. The programs run from Mondays to Thursdays and Saturdays, with a nutritious meal being offered to each child daily. Children are educated in groups of 20 to 30 through various educational and cultural programs. The Sports Development Program provides a safe and supportive environment for children to experience the physical and mental challenges associated with sport. Coached by enthusiastic foundation staff members and volunteers, the program provides an opportunity for local youth to develop their skills and to channel their energies into healthy and constructive activities. Northern Ireland, the Netherlands and Germany currently partner with the Amy Beale Foundation to run soccer and hockey clinics. A partnership with the City of Cape Town provides resources and venues so that we can expand our sports programs.
Their commitment is to attend every training session that has been arranged for them, and then to have discipline in there, to listen to their coaches, to their instructors, to do what they are told to do.
But it's up to the facilitator and the coordinator. So you need to constantly to come up with plans, exciting things that you let them to commit themselves in the sport.
Groups of children are taught music theory and musical instruments at various times and at different schools and venues in the townships.
We do have partners like Bishops, the Cape Philharmonic Orchestra, Hugo Lambrecht. They then partner up with us in terms of taking some of our kids from the township to their schools or institutions and then offer training to those children. So it is also about ensuring that the children that are selected actually appreciates, number one, and that they also are deserving of these kind of opportunities.
At present, the programs involve more than 70 students from the townships who otherwise would not have had the opportunity to play a musical instrument.
This is the Milton Academy's 8th tour of South Africa, and we're really honored to be partners with the Amy Beale Foundation.
The children perform at various events, such as the Amy Beale Foundation fundraisers, weddings, concerts and conferences, to grow their confidence and showcase their talent. Run at our after-school centres, groups of children are taught fine art, drama, dance, as well as beading, where we strive to create a new order of artistic excellence by providing a climate that rewards artistic talent through exploration and development of the children's latent talent. The Amy Beale Foundation has partnered with Cape Town Ballet and Zama Dance School, taking 10 children each week for ballet and dance lessons. During school holidays, we take as many children as possible to foundation-run camps, where they are kept off the streets and involved in healthy and positive activities in beautiful surroundings. The students are also taken on outings during each term. These are usually the only opportunities that these children have to see nature and experience other surroundings outside of the townships.
Well, the projects are an opportunity for these young people to find their own capabilities within. Because at this point, some of them, their self-esteem is very low, but as they become part of this project, when we take them out of the township during public holidays, it makes a huge difference in their lives. It changes who they are.
Because of the successes of our programs over the last decade and our mission to continue the reconciliation process between South Africa's privileged and less privileged citizens, various measures have been put in place to ensure future sustainable income, such as the Amy Beale Cultural Township Tours, supported and promoted by Cape Town Tourism.
There's just so much that needs to be done, so many youth that we need to get into our programs, which is limited by funding. We can only do so much with whatever resources we've got.
We need to donate to the Amy Beale Foundation because it helps us run our programs effectively. We can have more children in our programs, it's better run, it's more exciting, and giving them something creative to do every day.
The Amy Beale Foundation has positioned itself as a well-run, sustainable organization that contributes to the change required to ensure healthy, vibrant communities with well-rounded youth. The continued success and further expansion of our youth education and development and empowerment programs depends upon the generous financial support of compassionate visionaries like you. With your help, we can address the challenges of the townships and continue to grow our work with the youth.